Hi, I'm Elaine. Welcome to Top Tip Tuesday on my Stamp with Elaine Facebook page. A couple of weeks ago I had a request to do a video tutorial on how to tie bows. So Patty, if you're watching, this is for you. There are many ways to use ribbon to enhance or add finishing touches to your card or a 3D project like boxes or gift packaging. I'm going to be using the Quiet Meadow and Meadow dies. These have carried over from last year. It's 2021 to 2022 annual catalogue, and it's still available in the 2023 to 2024 annual catalogue, but not as a bundle. You'll have to buy these separately. One of the most important tools to have is a designated pair of scissors just for ribbon. If you use a general pair to cut paper or tear and tape and things like that, it will blunt the scissors and you'll end up getting frayed edges if you use scissors other than a designated pair. Now, what type of bow you tie depends on the width and texture. Obviously you can't tie a bow with this one. This is quite wide, but it's now retired. I think this is 3/8 inches. And then you've got the heavily textured ribbon. This is quite a tight, thick weave. And this is all in the ink colours. I can't remember what it's called. It says Pebble Path textured ribbon. This one, which is the variegated one, is very, very soft and pliable. So that would make great fodder for tying bows. This one are the metallic ones. It's only 1/8 of an inch wide, so that will be great for doing double or even triple bows. And this one is great for ruching, and I think this one is called the Night of Navy bordered ribbon. Another point to remember is that the wider the ribbon, the more ribbon you need. I'm going to demonstrate just the basic bunny ears technique with this ribbon. So you hold the ribbon loosely in your hand and you make 2 loops. The one in the left hand is held between the index finger and thumb, as is the one on the right. Then you cross the right one over the top of the left loop, bring that loop under and through the hole, and then start to tighten it. Then from the underside you can adjust this so that it looks the way you want it and tighten it. So there's your bow, and then by pulling on the tails you can adjust the size of the loop. When you do this, sometimes the ribbon will want to turn, so you need to straighten the ribbon as you go. Okay. So that's the basic bunny ear one. Now this is a narrow piece of ribbon. It's only 1/8 of an inch wide, so I don't need as much. So do my bunny ears again, cross it over, tuck that in through the loop and tighten it. Then you can adjust the tails and pull it tight and keep adjusting it until you're happy with where it is, and then attach it to your project with a glue dot. Now with a bow that has a thicker weave, if you want to create less bulk, then I suggest you just cut a short piece that's large enough to go across the front of the card, and just a little extra to go on the back of the card. So now you want to remove the double-sided tape or tear and tape to secure the ribbon. And then you can slide this piece through because you're going to tie a knot. So loop it over, cross it like that, tuck this top one underneath and tighten the knot. Make a loop, wind that round, tuck this underneath and grab the two loops and tighten it. Now the trouble with that is that it is quite bulky. Okay, so what my suggestion would be, so do your usual bunny ears, like so, cross over the right, over the left, take this loop and tuck it underneath through the loop at the bottom. Can you see the loop there? And then pull that tight. And you can keep adjusting it. And then you can just use a glue dot and stick it on there. Trim off the ends. So now I've created a little bow. I can just stick that on with glue dots. Or an alternative is to slip this through and tie a square knot or a flat knot. You loop it through and tie a knot like that. Manipulate it to which way round you want it to go and then pull it tight. Okay, then you can trim it. So that's just a single one because the ribbon is heavily textured. It will hold with just a single knot. Apply adhesive on the back and then pop that on from the front. And now put a glue dot on there and put it underneath to keep that in place. So you have the option of a separate bow or the square knot. On this sample I showed you the option of either having the bow or the flat knot, and in fact this flat knot, if I hadn't put a glue dot underneath it, you could slide it and move it across or position it wherever you want. Now this is a flat knot that's been wrapped around the whole of the back of the cardstock. Now I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see. So I'm going to cross my ribbon over like that. So it's right over left. Okay, so I'm going to tuck that ribbon underneath. So this is the right tail. Now the right tail is down the bottom, which is pointing south. Okay, your left tail is pointing north. Where the ribbon crosses over, you need to put a firm hold on that, loop the north facing tail, and then bring the south facing tail up and over and through that loop. Okay, then swap hands so that you're still holding on to where the ribbon crosses, and you want to pull on this north tail, which is the left side, and pull that tight. Adjust your knot if you need to and keep pulling until it's where you want it. And there you have a nice square knot. So now you want to trim it off at the same angle. So that's your square knot. Put dimensionals on the back, and now I'm going to just put it on my card front. Now I haven't actually done a card sample for the next way you can use a ribbon, so I'm just going to use it on a piece of scrap. I've taken a bit of tear and tape, and wherever you're going to place your sentiment, you put a strip of tear and tape down, and then use this ribbon, and at an angle you just overlap it slightly back and forth like that. And then put your sentiment through. So that is the Z-fold type, okay? Do the ruching bit now. So I'm going to do the same thing and put a piece of tear and tape where I want my label to be. So I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape here. And this technique using the ribbon is called ruching. So remove that, and then starting, this is the tail, okay? So where the tail ends, you want to put your ribbon like that and fold it. You're pleating it basically, but you want to keep the pleats uneven, and you don't want to have it all straight up and down like soldiers. Sort of angle it a little bit so it looks more natural. Then you want to put dimensionals on your sentiment on the upper portion so it doesn't interfere with the ribbon. And if you're not happy with that positioning, you can always take it off again and start afresh. That's the beauty of this technique. Then put your sentiment on top, and that's the ruched effect. So basically, with the tear and tape underneath it, as you pinch and stick it down as you go along to the tear and tape, it holds it in place and gives you this ruched effect. Now this is when you have very thin ribbon. You can actually do a triple bow, and I'll show you how to do that. You want quite a generous bit of ribbon. I'll leave it on the roll until I need to cut it. So let me see how much I'll need. Take the left end of your length of ribbon and place it over the palm of your hand and pinch it with your thumb on the knuckle of your middle finger, okay? And you're going to use your index finger and your middle finger as the fulcrum. So how big you want the ribbon, it depends on how wide you have your fingers apart. So I don't want it to be too big, so I'm going to keep my fingers fairly close together. And before you start, you want to have a stylus ready to help you poke the ribbon through. It will make your life a lot easier. Okay, so just to recap, I've draped the tail of the ribbon on the left end of the ribbon across my middle knuckle on the middle finger. keep that in place with your thumb. Loop your ribbon over the index finger, bring it up and over and across underneath the middle finger in a figure of 8 to go back up over the index finger. So that's 1, 2, 3 figures of 8. So you've brought that ribbon back down. Now you want to go across and you want to poke that through. Alright, so take your stylus and help that through. Now you'll find that there's a loop across here. So you want to bring the tail up, bring it down and under the loop. So take your stylus and catch the ribbon and pull it through. Okay, check that this is straight. This is the front of your bow, but it's facing the bottom, and you just tug on this piece to tighten it. Move it back and forth and it's tight. Okay, then slip it off your finger and there you have your triple bow. So that's 1, 2, 3. You can adjust that. Then just put a glue dot on the back and then you can pop it on your project and trim the ends off. So that's how you do a triple bow. If you want to do a double, it's the same principle. Place that tail across the palm of your hand over the middle finger. Take your thumb, place it on the middle knuckle to anchor the ribbon down. How big you want your ribbon depends on the gap between your index and middle finger. So I'm going to have this slightly bigger, and same principle, this time I only want to do 2. So 1, 2 and across. Take that, stick the ribbon through. Okay, creates that loop across, bring it down, push that through or hook it so that it comes through the other end. And now check the ribbon at the back, that's the front of your bow, and start pulling that tight. Then slip that off. And you have your double bow. So that's just 1, 2. In fact, you could also do a single bow using the same principle instead of your bunny ears. Drape that across the palm of your hand and pinch it with your thumb across the knuckle on your middle finger. Loop it round your index finger. Make 1 figure of 8 and push that through your finger. I'm going to have to trim that off, aren't I? Okay, bring that down and you want to catch that ribbon through. Hang on. There's your tail, and you want that to go through that loop there, like so. Check the front and then pull on this to tighten it, and there's your single bow. So there's your single, your double and your triple. using the figure of 8 method. So this is the same principle with the jute and the baker's twine. So I'm going to use the bunny ears again. Another trick is to tie it upside down if you want the tails to go in the right direction. So loop, bunny ear, bring that through and tighten it. Then you can adjust the size of your loop by pulling on the tails. So just snip it off to trim it. So that's some of the ways you can use your ribbon to enhance your paper crafting. You can go from bows to faux bows, a square of flat knot, ruching and the triple bows, or the double, or the single. It's a much longer Top Tip Tuesday than I had intended, but there was a lot to cover. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back with more tips next time. Bye!